BeerFormers episode 21. Very exciting. We're still doing it as we keep talking about because we're still having fun.
Yeah.
Our sips are taking off. People like the sips. We're more than we're 25 or something like that on sips. I forgot to look, but I know we're more than 21.
You just keep making them because you keep getting toys.
Well, the sips are all shorts and all that.
He
what's
says,
new.
Noel, we're going to catch up soon, but we're never going to catch up because he's always going to get new toys.
I've got a bit of a backlog.
Don't worry.
So once we get to the backlog, then it'll just be as I get new stuff.
I'm not worried about it.
But so episode 21, we're excited to have you guys here. We're up like 212 subscribers now.
Yeah, thank you. So, every single one of you. Please keep tuning in.
We're shouting out to our daughter's college.
Yeah, our youngest daughter. This is where she goes to school.
So shout out to Rankin. Good job. Do lots of good work training kids how to do the trade. So awesome. All right, so for tonight's BeerFormers, for episode 21, we're going to talk about something we haven't talked about before. So again, it's been something new every time, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about 6 Transformers tonight because they're relatively easy to transform. And these are the Triggerbots / Triggercons.
Do they have trigger warnings?
They do not.
Oh,
so you might be triggered by this episode when you watch it.
Okay.
So the Triggerbots and Triggercons were 3 Autobots and 3 Decepticons.
Yeah. And
they all shared the same gimmick, although they went about it 2 different ways. And that gimmick was they had weapons that would like automatically deploy. So that's
what does that mean? Like you press a button and their gun would pop
most
out?
Transformers had a weapon that they held in their hand.
Yeah.
Usually a separate piece. You just put it in their hand and they can shoot it.
Yeah.
These guys, their arm would come up and then you'd press it, or some other part of their body would come up. You press the button and the weapons would just like pop out and deploy.
That's kind of cool.
All right.
Okay.
And this is something I'm hoping that you'll catch on to as we talk about these tonight.
All
okay.
Right.
Because again, there were 3 and 3.
Yeah.
3 Autobots, 3 Decepticons. They came out, I want to say, I should have done my research a little better. I apologize. I want to say they came out in 87, about the same year as the Headmasters. Okay. Or they might have come out in 88, the second year when it was like Headmasters.
So I was in junior high school at that
So
time.
87, 88, somewhere in there. You guys can correct me all you want. But we'll just go ahead and get right into them and talk about them, right? Each one at a time. So the first we'll do is a couple of Triggercons. So the bad guys. The bad guys. So this one is called Crankcase. He's a little like off-road vehicle, like a Jeep type thing right here. Sure. He's got a button here on top. Now, also go ahead and press that button and see what happens.
Are we ready?
Just press it once.
All right.
Yep.
Get it out from the microphone. Whoa!
So the weapon spring load and deploy, right? Okay.
Yeah, that was cool.
Right? And what's cool is it works in robot mode too.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So you want to transform it?
Yeah, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, maybe.
So, this guy's a little tight.
You said it was easy.
Well, there's not a lot of steps to it.
I do is I try to pull things apart and nothing's working.
So you got to pull his legs down. See his feet there? Pull the legs down, I believe. He might be a little tight.
Dave, the little lights aren't twinkling.
You deployed the weapons, which is okay. It doesn't hurt anything.
All right.
I'll let him get it straight. He's a little tight. That's all you got to do.
Dude, it was.
And then you got to turn this.
Oh.
And then you got to pull the head out. And really, that's about it.
All right.
I'll let you do it. And then you can deploy the weapons in robot mode.
Head comes out. Okay.
And then to pivot the weapons up. Let's go ahead and put them back real quick.
All right.
We can show the audience how they work in robot mode.
This is how it's supposed to be.
So if you look here now, it's like this.
Do his arms come up?
His arms come up. He's got that's his only articulation. His arms come up. No fist hole for holding a regular weapon because
he doesn't need it.
Weapon.
Because mother.
There we go. Press them again. These guys all had 2 stages. So stage 1 came out for like vehicle mode. Stage 2 came all the rest of the way for robot mode.
Or if I hit it the first 3 times for me.
So his little weapons, we'll put a better picture screen, but his weapons point forward, so he's like that, all right?
Yeah.
So that was Crankcase. Next one is Ruckus.
Ruckus. Okay. I like
He's more of a Doom Buggy type. This is another Decepticon. Yeah.
Do they roll pretty well?
He rolled okay, yeah.
All right.
So his legs pop forward. You want to show the guns first? Or press
where's the button?
Right there, that button.
I just pressed it. Nothing
happened.
Press
one. Press it down a little. There you go. And that's it for that one. Stage 1 just pops up a little bit.
Oh, so that's lame.
Yeah. So stage 2, if you press it again, it folds all the way around for like robot mode.
So
you press it again, it'll come up even more.
Oh, all right. There's 2 stages.
3 stages on that.
So I put it down.
So go ahead and flip his legs out.
All right. Oh, this one's a little easier.
They pivot around.
What the hell did I just do?
No, you're okay. All
right, there's his legs.
That's it. He's transformed.
But his arms?
Well, you can put his arms up if you want to, but otherwise they don't have to. You know,
I like the arms.
He don't have to walk around like the Frankenstein monster. Go. So 1 and then 2 should deploy it the rest of the way. They're not going. These are very old now. There, that's it. Basically, there they go. Boom. So over his shoulder, boulder holder. If you know what that is, it was a bra.
All right. What was his name again?
This was Ruckus.
Ruckus.
So Crankcase and Ruckus. I'm going to hold off on the third one for a second because I'm building up to something.
And these are bad guys.
These are Decepticons.
Do they build something else?
They do not. They don't combine. Okay. They just had that gimmick of having the auto-deployable weapons, right?
I.e. Trigger.
So let's go to some Autobots now. This is Override. Okay. Right. His buttons are, he's got one on each side. So you press the buttons.
How's he roll?
He rolls okay. He's a motorcycle, as you can see.
Rolls better than the other ones.
He's got the big pontoons on the side to kind of balance him out.
If I do that.
Boom.
Woo! All right.
Did you notice the difference between how that deployed versus the Decepticons?
Those were like you were a wind up to it.
Yeah, they call it it's a ratchet spring.
But this is just a...
Yeah, boom, it just flips forward.
I like that.
So the Autobots had that in common where they just, boom, come forward, and they're chrome. Did you notice that? They're kind of a chrome weapon.
They kind of hurt. You got to be careful. Like, if you did this right by your eye, you might put your eye out.
Boom. So let's see if you can transform him. For this one, you basically... lift up the biggest foot, fold back the wheel to basically give him some stability. You got it?
Yeah.
And then you got to lift up this part to reveal his head.
Oh, that. Okay.
I think there goes his arms. And that's it. Yeah.
He's tiny.
You can say he does extend a little bit too.
Because I'm saying he's short.
He's tight too. Like the tiger.
Man, you need to put some oil in these suckers.
Well, these are some that I don't get out very much because their trick is limited.
It's actually pretty. Last week I was like, or the last BeerFormers, I was saying that they were lame because the vehicle mode looked stupid.
It was the multi-force.
One of the coolest things I've seen in the Transformers universe because it actually was like 24 toys in one.
And I didn't mention this then. I'll just mention it briefly now. They brought back that similar combination style for Transformers Energon in the early 2000s where like two Autobots could come together, but they couldn't form a big super guy.
This is dumb.
So once again, boom, he's got his weapons ready.
That's cool. It's like a switchblade, but otherwise...
These guys had very limited play, and they didn't make it in the cartoon at all because these came out after the cartoon was over. Yeah. And they made it in the comic book just long enough to basically sell that toy and be like, oh, look, these are available, so you can buy these too. But very little play. And that's that. They kind of disappeared.
2 tickets to the gun
show. I will say this, though. In the recent years, they've been doing a lot of homages and reissues and reimaginings of toys, right? I think I mentioned that before on some other episodes. All the Triggercons have gotten some love again. They've been brought out again. My gripe about the Triggercons is they don't have the auto-deployable weapons.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But they do. They still have the weapons. You can flip the Ruckus's weapons up.
That the gimmick?
You can flip Crankcase's weapons up, but they're not auto-deployable.
If I was little and was playing with this, I'd be like, I'd keep him in the robot mode, and he'd be like doing tricks on his one wheel.
They'd all be like. In my mind, they'd all be like gunslingers. Like, who could deploy faster?
Yeah.
And I'd have to say the Autobots would win every time because with the jack springs and the Triggercons, are like,
versus,
Okay.
Autobots.
This next one, you're gonna love the name of this one.
Okay.
And you can tell everybody why.
Autobot.
Okay. This one is like a Porsche racing car.
That's pretty
cool. His exhaust pipes are going to be the guns.
Okay.
So you can press that button and show everybody if you want. It's on the very back.
All right, you ready for this? Ooh, boom. Nice.
So deploy pacing forward. This guy's name is Backstreet. My wife's a big Bruce Springsteen fan.
On the back streets.
So for Backstreet, you basically fold that part down to reveal a head, and then pull out and flip up the feet. Because there's his head. You see it?
Head?
Yeah. So pull down and then flip up the feet. So all relatively easy transformations. They're a little tight just because they're old and we don't transform a lot. And the weapons can still deploy in robot mode too.
And the arms come up again. I like making the
arms. You like them to have their arms out, don't you?
I do.
Just like that.
All right, that's pretty cool. It's better than that.
And so his weapons are head mounted, basically. They flip up over the top of his head, so he's like, wherever he looks, I guess he's like almost like an anti-aircraft weapon or something like that.
Do it from both angles.
Okay.
Cool.
So those are as Override, Backstreet, Ruckus, and Crankcase. So I mentioned there were 3 each, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to hand you now. We've done 2 Triggercons, 2 Triggerbots. I'm going to hand you the next Triggerbot.
Okay, so it's a good guy.
This one's name is.
But he's a jet.
He's a jet.
Aren't most Decepticons jets?
That got murky within a couple years.
Okay.
They got murky within a couple years. The other Decepticon's a jet too. I'm gonna get him out too, but I'm gonna do him. This is a Triggercon. His name is Dogfight.
Okay.
And see, there's the button that makes his weapons deploy.
Nothing's happening.
Well, you got your hands in the way. Let's see.
No, they're not.
Press it again.
Oh. But he had a ratchet.
Very good. And here's the last Triggercon. His name's Windsweeper. He's got 2 buttons here. And they just flip out.
They screwed him up. They flip-flopped him.
That's exactly what most people in the fandom think. No one's got any hard evidence that this happened, but everyone is basically convinced, thank you, that at some point in the development process, one of the Triggercons and one of the Triggerbots got crossed over.
Yeah.
Because the Windsweeper...
And this one won't go back in.
Yeah, the Windsweeper, he's got the silver chrome weapons that just deploy automatically fast.
Yeah.
Dogfight, they're not chromed.
Yeah.
And they have the jack spring thing like that.
Yeah.
So most likely Dogfight was originally meant to be a TriggerCon.
Yeah.
Windsweeper was meant to be a Triggerbot, and something happened.
That's what I think.
So now there's one of each. So you want to try to transform real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do this one just for the sake of brevity.
All right.
I'll do because for Windsweeper you just pull the legs down
and
pull his feet up.
All right. This is that goes back. Mm-hmm. There's a wheel. Wheel probably goes up like that. Yep. Arms. Those look like arms.
Those are arms, yeah.
But why aren't they going the right way?
Well, they are. That's his fist. See him?
Yeah, they aren't going forward. But I didn't pull the legs down.
They're also jack springs, so you don't want to mess with them too much because they might like that. So.
I'll totally break your toys.
I'll help you your boys.
Thank you.
His legs are tight.
Yeah, I know.
I need to transform these more, I guess, is what you're trying to tell me.
I think that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Do this.
So we're not buying a new one. I'll tell you that. It might be a little hard.
I can't get a new one?
Can't go to
Walmart.
Walmart.
Get a better dog fight? Okay. So
good name, though. I like it. Dog fight.
So when his jack springs go, his arms come up to show the weapons.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's pretty good.
Down like that.
Yeah.
Hit the button and you can show everybody again real quick.
All right, here he goes.
You can go again. Yeah, they kind of come out. They're getting old, so they don't quite work as well as they should. But Windsweeper's weapons come out on record. So yeah,
cool.
So it's a mystery we'll probably never know because there's been 30 years of speculation of this. No one at Hasbro has been like, that was my.
What's your head?
That was my fault.
Yeah, what's your head?
As far as headcanon goes, it doesn't matter. Because they are who they are. These are the TriggerCons. These are the Triggerbots.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably what happened. There's lots of evidence of things happening in the back rooms where a page gets swapped somehow and
makes sense.
And someone's like, oh. Okay.
And then they're all the way down the production line, like 20 million of them been made. It's like, well, because
obviously they meant to have a theme. The Triggerbots were the chrome silver weapons that fast deploy. Yeah. The TriggerCons had the jack spring weapons.
Unless they were supposed to be spies.
Ooh, now we're getting deep.
Headcanon, boom.
Deep in headcanon now.
That's what I think.
But then it's kind of a fun little. Again, things were very gimmicky in those mid '80s, right? Everybody had some sort of little thing going on, so these guys had the weapons that deployed some way or another. And so the Triggerbots, TriggerCons, they had the FireCons and the Sparkabots, which we might talk about at some point, where they had the where they had the thing where you would rev them up and they would spit sparks out the back.
That sounds safe.
So anything they could do to try to sell some more toys, they tried it back in the 80s, and this is one example of it.
Capitalism, baby.
So again, most of these guys never got really any play in terms of comic books.
Yeah,
maybe more recent years.
Sorry, you suck so bad that you didn't get.
They wouldn't talk about the whole Triggerbot trash TriggerCon thing anymore. They just the character themselves got a little bit of play in a comic book, but that's about it.
Well, Dave,
so it's kind of an interesting little footnote in the world of Transformers. It is definitely a
footnote, and that flip flop is interesting.
Yeah.
But thank goodness we have a better booze to talk about tonight because my goodness, this has got to be. I'm not gonna lie, these are my least favorite ones we've done. This is not great.
Even with Backstreet?
Well, that was pretty cool. Backstreet, I love you. You're cool.
What if his name was Bruce Springsteen? Would you love him even more? You'd take that robot away from me. Like, this is my robot now. Yeah. So what are we talking about tonight? What's our adult beverage of choice?
Well, so we're gonna do something a little different tonight. Instead of doing beer, we're going to a spirit.
Which we've done before. We've done one of them before.
But it's once again, it's a spirit that we encountered on our travels down to where our oldest daughter goes to school. So she goes to school in Atlanta. So as we come home, we cross Tennessee and Kentucky. So we're very close to a lot of great distilleries. And so we've made it a priority to stop off at distilleries that we can that are close to the highway where we're going by. And so the most recent one we did was called Roland Distillery. So Dave, if you can go ahead and grab the whiskey that we're going to try tonight in front of all of you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Roland, okay? It's located in Pembroke, Kentucky, and it was very close to the highway. It's in the middle of farmland.
Right off Interstate 24.
Yeah, I learned that the people who founded it bought an Amish farm that was for sale, which explains why it's in the middle of farmland.
Okay.
But as it was explained to us when we just showed up randomly for a tasting, they use everything locally sourced. So the grain that's being grown around them, the corn that's being grown around them, they use that in their distilling process. They also get other ingredients from other local growers, but everything they get is done locally. It's
very family friendly.
Yeah. So here's some of my notes from their website. They use white corn to hand make each of their products. Their products range from what they call unique distillation and barrel-proof Kentucky bourbon to all kinds of shines that are naturally flavored, okay? So it's founded by Paul and Mary Beth, i.e. MB.
Oh.
Tomaszewski. They founded it in 2009.
Named after Mary Beth then. That's cool.
I don't know where Roland comes from, but Mary Beth is the MB in MB Roland. And they founded it as Kentucky's first completely grain-to-glass distillery. And Paul, one of the founders, he's a native of southern Louisiana. But Mary Beth, MB, she's local. She's a native of this region of Kentucky. And one of the major benefits of their location is their proximity to their grain suppliers. So, it really makes a difference. Their ingredients are so fresh and everything is so good. Right now, they're distributed in 18 states and the United Kingdom. And if you want to know the specific venues where you can get their product, go to their website, because that'll be the most up-to-date information. But there's some places in Illinois, some places in Missouri. And when you go to their farm, where you can, and their little distillery house.
It's right off of the interstate. You can see it as you're driving.
They have tours of the distillery. You need to go to their website to pick one because they're at various hours and days, and they're all for 21 and up. So they have different experiences. Children are not welcome on the tours because of what happens during the tour. It's just not child friendly. But they do say that if you just go to their tasting room like we did, children are welcome in there. And when you go to their tasting room, also check their website to make sure they're open. But we did, and we just drove up on a Friday afternoon, I think it was.
Saturday.
And we walked right in. And they have 2 different levels of tasting. We did the one that I think they call the enhanced tasting.
Where you got 6?
No, you got 12. So we split that. You get 1 ounce. 12 1-ounce tastings.
So we did 24 altogether then.
No, we split that 1 ounce tasting.
Oh,
so we got
So I think we each got 6, but we doubled it up, so we got 12.
And the lady running it,
which I think might have been
MB. We're not entirely sure. She knew so much about the. First of all, I just want to say, if you go there and you get the woman we got who was running the tasting, she was an expert on every one of their products.
Had the gift of gab.
Yes.
You talked,
and knew exactly what order we should do them in to make sure that we got the right flavor profile. So it was a great experience. Yeah. And they had water there so you could cleanse your palate before each one. But we
lots of product available, so there wasn't anything like, we might not get to have that today.
So when we each got to do 6, she's like, you can split that up any way you want. So we ended up trying 12 because we'd get the ounce and we.
But they had more than 12 to try. There were some things we didn't get to try still.
So I can tell you a little bit about some of the products that they have, and we didn't get to try them all, but we tried a lot of them. So I'm just going to read from here. They do a lot of straight bourbon whiskey. So the Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, they have variations on that. They have a single barrel. They have a wheated mash. They have what they call dark fired, which is they just roast the corn a little longer. They have a Kentucky straight rye whiskey. They have a Kentucky straight malt whiskey, where instead of a single malt style, they include white corn and rye to provide a spicier, fuller flavor. And I will say that most of their whiskeys are kind of like in the 100 proof range, but their Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey is 105 to 115 proof. So some are a little higher, some are a little lower. They also do a Kentucky straight wheat whiskey, a dark fired whiskey, straight corn whiskey. They do what they call Kentucky Azul, which is
it's not tequila because you can't use the word tequila unless it's made in that part of the world.
Yeah, but it is made with blue agave. Yeah. And it was wonderful.
I think they called it not tequila. Yeah.
And then they have a lot of shines. So different, they've got what they call their true Kentucky moonshine, which is literally just white corn and sugar. So nothing added besides that. So it is moonshine. Yeah, it's white lightning, baby. They have apple pie, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, dark cherry, St. Elmo's fire,
pink lemonade,
which is cinnamon, and pink lemonade, which we brought home a bottle of that and enjoyed it on our camping trip with our friends. But it
was fun.
Yeah, it's rough though. I mean, not rough, but it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. So you got to make sure you're careful with that. Yeah. But they also had some bottled and bond whiskeys.
So we have.
Yeah. So we brought home. This is when we tried it. It was called Barker's Mill. So we're gonna have another little
proof,
glass with
bottled
you guys.
and bond,
yeah.
Which means what exactly? I always forget that.
Well, it's a legal term.
Thing.
Yeah. So here's what it says about their Barker's Mill. It says Barker's Mill was built along the West Fork Creek in Christian County, Kentucky, serving as a community focal point for over 100 years until it fell into disrepair and was torn down in 1940. In the early 1800s, the mill included a distillery to make use of the grain on site. We honor those early independent distillers with this vintage-styled bottled and bond bourbon, distilled using local white corn, red winter wheat, and malted barley, aged on site, blended in bottles that were unfiltered from the same distilling season.
And on the bond tag on it, it says it was made in 2019 in spring and bottled in spring of 2024.
Yeah.
100 proof.
Yeah. And I will say
this
probably...
is a gold winner according to the American Spirits Council of Tasters 2023.
And when we tasted it there that day, we loved it. So we're going to taste it again and tell you if it's still as good as we remember. But I do want to say one thing. I think they're probably one of their highest proofs is their Kentucky Straight Corn Whiskey. It's 110 to 120 proof. And what they do is they smoke the corn and then they age it in used bourbon casks. So that bourbon adds to the alcohol content. Yeah. So anyway,
but it was totally a fun place to go. We had a good time. We
it smells so good.
A year ago on the way home from taking our daughter to school, we stopped at Dickel's Distillery, which is not called that, but if you know the Dickel whiskeys, we stopped there and tried some of their stuff. So we thought, let's do it again on the way home. So we looked up several places to go.
Yeah.
This place was right off the highway, so let's do it. It's literally as soon as you cross the border, if you're coming north from Tennessee into Kentucky, within like 5 or 6 miles, it's right there. And it was just like a little farm off to the side. It was a blast. The lady, as Noel said, was so much fun.
Yeah.
If we had more money, we probably would have bought everything. Yeah. Because she was so cool, But
the difference between, if you're wondering, like, what's the difference between a bourbon and a Kentucky whiskey, a Kentucky bourbon versus a Kentucky whiskey.
Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah. The difference is how it's aged. So a bourbon has to be aged in they call it a fresh charred. I know it sounds contradictory, but you take an oak cask and you char it. Then you age your product in there. And then sometimes there's a certain amount that has to be corn, but you can use other ingredients in a bourbon.
Time too?
At least 2 years.
2 years.
You have to at least age it 2 years in this charred oak cask, and it has to be a brand new oak cask. That makes it a bourbon. Whereas a whiskey has to have, mostly one type of grain. Usually it's corn, but it doesn't have a aging limit or a type of cask that it has to be in. So
this stuff was 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. So that's really cool. 5 years adds a lot to it.
Let's taste it
but
again.
You can smell. It smells very. You can smell the corn in it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
you get the corn at first when it's just setting there.
Oh,
as soon as you swallow it, then you get the nose. You get all the charred effects.
And it's not peppery.
No.
It's very sweet.
But the corn goes away. You get corn initially, then the corn kind of goes away.
You
and you get
down
the
in
flavor.
your belly. This is wonderful. So, a very good spirit.
I've had a couple bottle and bond bottles, and they've both been excellent. So,
Dave, cheers.
Cheers.
So this was a really fun place to go. It's a great experience. So you have an opportunity if you're going up that highway.
There's the whole Kentucky Whiskey Trail and all that kind of stuff too. You can do all kinds of
right off the highway.
Yeah.
So if you're traveling south,
I-24.
Yeah, if you're on I-24 and you can.
That's the highway that cuts through Memphis and stuff.
Highly recommend it. One of the best experiences we've had.
Yep.
Doing a tasting.
So as we like to say, as we're starting to finish up here, thanks for learning a little more with us about the Triggerbots and Triggercons, including the mystery of how these two got swapped.
That's interesting.
That's
the most interesting part.
Never confirmed, but it seems likely.
Yeah.
Why would they have two of one gimmick and one of another?
Unless they are spies. That's my idea.
I will say this real quickly. I want to belabor this, but Dogfight's profile paints him as to be a little more bloodthirsty than your typical Autobot.
Yeah.
He likes to fight a little more.
Yeah.
Now, Windsweeper, by contrast, isn't like a little more friendly and fun-loving.
He sounds like he might like the ganja, is what I'm thinking.
But all 3 TriggerCons have been re-released in recent years in modern styling, minus the trigger mechanism. None of the Triggerbots, so we're going to put an appeal out there. Let's get some Triggerbots redone again. Why not a remake of Override, Dogfight, and Backstreet?
Riding on the back streets.
You can send more money our way and we'll stop singing.
Summer, me and Terry.
But as we like to say, always make sure you drink responsibly and play responsibly. I don't think these have ever been done by Christmas Feely, but you can learn more about them on the Transformers Wiki, tfwiki.net.
Okay.
If you'd like to know more about any other Autobot or Decepticon or any other Transformer from any era, let us know. Drop us a line. If you'd like to know more about any beer, liquor, whatever you name.
Yeah, or if you have them you want us to try, always please put it in the comments. We are open to any ideas. Yeah.
We're obviously in the St. Louis area if you watch as well, so we're
We'll
geographically limited a little bit, but if we ever get a chance to go anywhere you tell us, we
Yeah.
will definitely try to make sure that happens. But it's been a blast doing this. 21 episodes.
21!
Here's the 21 more, as I like to say.
Yes.
Or more beyond. But thanks for watching us here on BeerFormers.
When meets the right.
Cheers.